Hey everybody, happy Wednesday. Mark Causey here from Black Cat Comics in Rockin, Milpitas. Every Wednesday is New Comic Day and I like to give you some great reasons to get down to your local comic shop and pick up something fun to read. This week is especially packed with stuff that's fun to read. Gonna start with the Marvel guys. Great time to be an X-Men fan. This is Age of X-Men Omega. As we've been saying, there's a whole lot of this Age of X-Men stuff going on. Been spinning out of Uncanny number 10. This is the big wrap-up. If you've been following along, you've probably been digging it. All the different books have been selling really well. People seem to be into it. If you've let it get by you, we've got Black Cat packs for all the different minis. Or you could just pick up the Alpha and this week's Omega and get the gist of the whole thing. That's been a lot of fun. Uncanny X-Men number 22 wraps up pretty much everything that's been going on in all the different X books in the wake of the launch of House of X and Powers of X, which should start next week. If you've been following this book, it's been really solid. I'm a little unhappy to see Uncanny go away so soon, but everybody's looking forward to the Hickman stuff, so that's going to be awesome. So pick this one up to see how the whole thing wraps up. X-Force number 10 and Domino Hot Shots, your other X books of the week. Like I say, it's a good time to be an X fan, and it's about to get even better. If there's a book hotter than Immortal Hulk, I don't know what it is. This is Immortal Hulk number 21, probably the hottest book in comics. Sells out and goes to reprint every single time, no matter how much we up our orders and all that good stuff. If you are not reading this book, you're really, really missing out on something special and something awesome, even more awesome than those covers. So pick up that first trade paperback or one of the many, many reprints that kick off the series. Catch up to the latest issue as fast as you can. Like I say, one of the hottest books in comics and really deserves to be. Great stories, great art. Can't say enough about Immortal Hulk, so pick that one up this week and see what I'm talking about. Speaking of hot books that are super awesome, excuse me, Spider-Man Life Story number 5. Another book that's been selling out every single time it comes out, goes to reprint every single time it comes out. Really new, fun, and exciting way of looking at the Spider-Man mythos. This is, of course, a little out of continuity. It's its own kind of story, its own kind of universe. Tells the story of Spider-Man in real time, decade by decade. Can't say enough about this. Don't wait for the trade paperback. Pick up those reprints. Catch up to this latest issue. Only one more to go. Superior Spider-Man and Spider-Man City at War. Your other Spider books for the week. Always a good time to be a Spider fan. Captain Marvel number 8. Another one of the biggest books in comics, another one of the biggest heroes in comics. We hope you made it out to movie night for our pre-Comic-Con Comic-Con last week. It was a huge event and lots of people showed up and we hung out, watched Captain Marvel Under the Stars. It was super awesome. Great story, great art. Daredevil, another one of the best books Marvel does. Been talking about Daredevil for pretty much seems like all my life. This has always been one of the best books Marvel does. Going all the way back to the beginning and then into the Miller stuff, the Bendis stuff, Brubaker, Mark Waid, Charles Soule, on and on and on it goes. If you're not reading Daredevil like Immortal Hulk, you're really missing out on one of the best books in comics. So pick up this latest issue and see what I'm always talking about. Deadpool is your other guy in a red suit book for the week. This guy doesn't need much help. It's probably in your sub box already. Invaders number 7 is my book of the week because, well, it's got Captain America and it's got Iron Man taking on Winter Soldier right there on the cover. This book has been really, really super awesome. You can read more about it in our newsletter. Pick up the Black Cat pack for 1 through 6 or just jump into this week's number 7. Don't want to say too much about what's going on in this book because it's spoilerific, but great stories, great art. One of the better books that Marvel's doing right now. If you're an Avengers fan or any kind of superhero fan, you want to be following Invaders right now. Loki, number 1, is your Thor-esque book of the week, spinning out of the events of War of the Realms and Thor's title and all that good stuff. Always fun to see Loki in his own book. And The Punisher Annual, from the dark side of the Marvel U. This book has been really popular and selling really well. I'm traditionally not a big Punisher guy, but anytime a book sells out, if issue after issue after issue, I like to check it out and see what all the buzz is about. So I'll be checking out this annual this week. And Unstoppable Wasp, sort of the opposite of the Punisher, from the bright side of the Marvel Universe. Fun stuff. Silver Surfer Black. Always great to see the Surfer in his own title. And Secret Warps. This is the third annual from the Secret Warps series. Might be flying under your radar a little bit, but a little like Age of X-Men, it's always fun to see mashups of your favorite superheroes. This one goes back to last year's Secret War event. That was a lot of fun. If you're looking for something different, if your stack's a little light this week, throw Secret Warps in there and have some fun. And a couple of Star Wars books. Dr. Aphra is always super awesome. And Star Wars TIE Fighter, the latest mini-series from the Star Wars stuff from Marvel. Always encouraging you guys to check out the really, really awesome job Marvel's doing with all the Star Wars stuff. Pick up last week's Star Wars number 68 as your jump-in point to the main title. Great, great week for the Marvel guys. Very small week for the DC guys, but boy, some great books to talk about. Batman number 75 from Tom King, big chunky sized anniversary issue, part one of what is sort of the beginning of the end of this really, really great run of stuff. You know we're big Tom King fans around here. You know we've been loving this Batman book. I'm a huge fan of Bane. I've always said, despite those recent movies that kind of ruined him, he's really one of the best newer Batman villains, probably the best Batman villain since Ra's al Ghul. Really great to see him in the forefront of comics. Really cool to see him masterminding some great plans like he did back in Nightfall. If you're one of the 3 people that's not currently reading Batman, this is your chance to jump in, see what we're always talking about, and then you can go back and read the trades and catch up to this recent issue. Great, great time to be following Batman. Nightwing is your other Bat book for the week. You know I love me some Nightwing. He's probably my favorite Bat character. Aquaman number 50 is another chunky-sized extravaganza issue with the return of Black Manta, one of the coolest villains in comics, now one of the coolest villains in movies. Really, really great title. If for some reason Aquaman's been flying under your radar, this cool anniversary issue is a good time to jump in. Justice League number 28, one of the biggest and best books in comics. This one is part of the Year of the Villain stuff. I can't say enough about Justice League. You really should have been reading this from issue number 1. Pick up the 3 trade paperbacks that will catch you up to the recent issue, or just jump into number 25, or just jump into this latest one. Great stories, great art. Like I say, one of the best books in comics these days. Teen Titans, with the main man Lobo there on the cover. Everybody loves some Lobo. And Superman's pal, Jimmy Olsen. From one of our favorite guys, Matt Fraction. You can read more about this one in our newsletter. Really, really excited to see the return of Superman's pal, Jimmy Olsen. A lot like Lois Lane, this was a book that ran for years and years and years. Tons and tons of fun for us old school readers. Really great to see the new generations get reintroduced to the coolness that is Jimmy Olsen. So pick up that one this week. Have a few laughs, have some fun. Lucifer is your Sandman Universe book of the week. And Collapser is your first young animal book in a little while, because DC's still doing a few things outside of the regular DCU. Fun week for those guys. And what a great week for the indie guys. Look at this giant stack of some of the best books from all the other publishers too. Great week for my friends at Dark Horse. This is Joe Gollum. That's your latest submission from the Mignola-verse. You know I'm always talking up Mike Mignola as one of my favorite guys in comics. American Gods from Neil Gaiman. Well, from the mind of Neil Gaiman anyway. You love the show, you love the book, now you love the comic. This is the second series. You know, we're always pushing anything from the Neil Gaiman library. And Orville, New Beginnings. You love the show, now check out the comic. Dark Horse has been pioneering the licensed property stuff since the late 80s, and Orville is just the latest addition to that lineup. Black Science. It's about my only Image book this week, but I love me some Black Science. Talk about this book every single time it comes out. Talk about anything from Rick Remender. Pick up the $1 reprint of the first issue. It will definitely suck you in, or just grab the trade paperback and start reading those trades till you catch up to the current issue. Love me some dark, pulpy science fiction. Love me some Black Science. And a great week for Dynamite. I'm always talking up Dynamite Comics and the awesome job they do with everything. Here's Vampirella number 1. A new first issue from one of the legendary characters in comics. Love me some Vampirella, have for a very, very long time. There's also a first issue replica reprint of her very, very first issue from back in the day. So you can pick up this new #1, pick up the original #1, and see why Vampirella has been so super popular for decades. Turok, Dinosaur Hunter, speaking of popular for decades. Love seeing Turok in comics. Vampirella, Turok, and James Bond show you the huge range that Dynamite does, and they do a great job with each and every one of them, keeping things in their proper universe, keeping it classic, but giving it a little modernization. Can't say enough about Dynamite Comics, so go to their website, go through all the different awesome things that they do, and find the Dynamite book that belongs on your list. Firefly is your Boom Studios book. Been talking about Joss Whedon taking all of his stuff over to Boom Studios, the Buffyverse, the Firefly-verse. Love me some Firefly, love me some Serenity. This book has been really great because it's written by Greg Pak, so obviously it's awesome. Really, really good stuff. Grab the first trade paperback and catch up to the recent issue if you love Firefly, or if you love sci-fi, or if you just love good comics. And Archie Comics. Okay, Jughead's Time Police, #2. Did you know Jughead was a time-traveling police officer? Maybe not. There's a trade paperback for the original all-time great series from back in the day. That catches you up to the current modern series. Love me all things Jughead. Love me some Jughead's Time Police. Can't say enough about all the great stuff that Archie has had going on, like this, or their horror line, which includes Jughead the Hunger vs. Vampironica, or Blossom 666. Like I say, can't say enough about the great job Archie's been doing with everything, with their horror line, their mainstream line, their all ages line. Great, great time to be an Archie fan. Transformers and Transformers Ghostbusters are two of your IDW books for this week, but the one I wanted to talk about is Ragnarok, because the story and art are from the all-time great Walt Simonson, the legendary Walt Simonson. If you've ever read a Thor comic, or if you've seen the Thor movies, you have enjoyed the talent of Walt Simonson. One of the most unique and great talents of all of comics. Really excited to see him doing some creator-owned stuff. That's definitely in my box this week. Animosity is your Aftershock book of the week. Been loving all kinds of things from Aftershock, like this one, like Dark Arc, like a lot of different things they do. Fathom from Aspen Comics. Love me some Aspen Comics. Love that they're still going with all of the great things from the incredible mind of Michael Turner. And League of Extraordinary Gentlemen is still rolling out. Did you know there was a current League of Extraordinary Gentlemen series from Alan Moore? Tons of fun there. Lady Mechanica from Joe Benitez. Or The Storyteller from the genius of Jim Henson. Always liking to show the Jim Henson comics in these videos. And last but not least, let's talk about Blade Runner from Titan Comics. Maybe you don't know much about Titan Comics. I'm sure you know a lot about Blade Runner. I'm sure you've heard about Art Germ, who's doing the cover to this one. Love me some Blade Runner, one of the all-time great movies of science fiction. Really great to see it back in comics. Really great to see those Art Germ covers. You might not know much about Titan Comics, but they do all kinds of things, much more than just the Doctor Who stuff. So pick this one up and get introduced to a whole nother comic publisher. Then a couple other really, really great things to talk about. This, from George Takei, is They Called Us Enemy, from Top Shelf. This is written, boy, hard to even describe this book. Sort of autobiographical about his time in the Japanese camps here in our country. If you don't know much about that, or if you're interested in the subject, or if you just love George Takei, or you just love comics and reality-based things, can't say enough about this book. I'm sure it's going to be an Eisner winner next year. Pick this one up this week. It's one of those things that just makes comics better. And last but not least, have to mention the Overstreet Comic Book Price Guide. This is the week that the Overstreet comes out. The Overstreet Comic Book Price Guide lists every comic ever published in this country. Different prices for different grades. If you don't know much about the Overstreet Price Guide, you should definitely pick one up. If you haven't picked one up in a while, you definitely need to get one this year because the market's really changing. I get asked 100 million questions all the time about comics, and 90% of those questions could be answered in the Overstreet Price Guide. Do yourself a favor, pick up one of these guys. Everybody should have a copy of the Overstreet Price Guide. Always fun to see when these guys come out. Want to thank everybody that came out to the Black Cat Comics Rockin Milpitas pre-Comic-Con Comic-Con last week. It was super fun. We had movie night and the swap meet and all those kind of things. Well attended, lots of people came out, we all had a great time. If you happen to have missed out, you can go to the Facebook page or go to the YouTube channel, watch the videos that we posted, watch the panels that we posted. We're off to Comic-Con this week. We're headed down to San Diego Comic-Con. Keep up with the Facebook page and the YouTube channel because we're always posting pictures and live videos from the show. We'll be showing you all the great stuff that we'll be coming back with, so that's lots of fun. Make sure you get into the shop early next week so you can check out all the stuff we bring back before it's gone. That's all we got for you for this week. You can check us out at black-cat-comics.com. Check out the Facebook page, the YouTube channel. Check out the podcast at soundcloud.com. Or just get on down here to the good old brick and mortar in Rockin Milpitas. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.